Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Boys in the Cave. This podcast is proudly supported by Night Watchman Sports and Muslim Youth Today. My name is Aquib and co-hosting with me is Tanzim. So bro, what's good?
What's been happening, bro?
Alhamdulillah, it's going good, very good. What's going on with you, man?
Just doing this podcast and with the boys, you and Josh. And I feel, alhamdulillah, like just looking back about what we've done, I feel like we wouldn't have envisioned. I think, I remember when we were talking about starting it and till now, if you compare, the vision we had, we didn't expect the guests that we would have come on.
We didn't expect people to be supportive as well. Like the people that we reached out to as guests, they're very supportive on board with the mission and the vision we were doing. So it was really exciting. It was very heartwarming for us, reassuring that, people that, out there, they are thinking about this, but just the platform in itself isn't available or, hasn't been discovered.
Exactly. And I think it's not an easy task as well, especially because we feel like a lot of other projects, they have a lot of backing from other organizations and stuff. When it's kind of like us three. Like, alhamdulillah, we have people supporting us, but it's not like we're fully funded by a particular organization. It's all like individual kind of, we're just doing it on our own. And alhamdulillah, at least in some way we are connected to the Muslim community, so we're able to get guests. And notably, happened to, alhamdulillah, work out with Dr. Ilan, and we got an episode with him. But alhamdulillah, even the other guests, nothing to belittle them, but their insights and everything, from Mazen to Harun, alhamdulillah, like these guys are doing it big in their respective fields, right? Yeah. And we wouldn't have envisioned getting them on board and being supported by them and getting them on board with this. So it's been a good few months, and I think it can go somewhere. Yes.
I love how we found out that Dr. Gilani is such a bro. Like, that's so cool. We're just bantering with him like before and after the recordings. It's so awesome. Those are the little insights that we kind of want as well out of the podcast. We just want to connect with people on a deeper level.
Exactly.
Beyond what the podcast episode's all about. The podcast in itself is awesome, but the growth for us as as Muslims, as people that are interested in seeking knowledge, that's where the journey for us really comes about for us.
Exactly. And it's like we're able to connect with those people, and that reminds me of the idea of why we're starting it, to create that platform for the Muslim people, youth and whatnot, that like we can talk about what happens in society, because a lot of people, they see Islam as this thing where, I don't know, it's this backward thing from the Arabian Peninsula, right? 1400s backwards. And now if you want to engage with it, like if you look through Islamic history, right, we've always delved into things intellectually, whether it be through the golden age of Islam to, Imam Ghazali, it's a good, life story, how you engage with the philosophers and whatnot. Alhamdulillah, like we've had this thing, but then, I don't know, it's this current society where we're losing touch of it simply because, with the materialism and all that kind of ideologies that are in society, right?
I think a lot of people don't really grasp the idea of what Islam really is about. Like, Allah sent the Quran down to address human nature, human needs, and that's consistent throughout human history. What's changed between the days of the Sahaba, the Bedouins, and now is just the way we do things. Like, technology has advanced so much. But that doesn't mean that Islam is backwards, per se, just because the way we do things has advanced. Human nature has stayed consistent. Yeah. And Allah addresses the human needs, how we interact, what our basic needs are, what our basic instincts are. That has not changed at all. So people need to grasp that idea and, latch onto that idea when they pursue their own ideals, they pursue their goals and dreams and stuff like that. And defending the deen, that's important. Like, people come in and like full attack you in your face. They come in. I'm sure you've seen like in the Dawah scene, like people just like, they have like a million questions and like full red face and your face, like, oh, how dare you bring Islam to our society and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like what do you do there? Like you have to kind of push back. And can't be defensive anymore, especially now around these times. So it's important. Like we have a sense of pride in what Islam represented and brought to us in our lives.
And I guess that's what makes us want to provide this platform even more, because we want to show to people that, we can connect with people in terms of, very deep intellectual kind of discussions, maybe not so by me, but we'll get the guests to, to where I'll just like look at them and be like, But even just providing that platform, and not only that, just talking about interactions with, family, for example, interactions with, way the rest of society, your work life, gym, all these things where it just, I guess, is a kind of thing that people go through, right? All people have to encounter these sort of isms and whatnot at one point in time. But at least, we're able to provide that platform, and they can, at least we can delve into a topic more deeply than I guess they would have envisioned themselves.
Yeah. Because there's an intimidation factor when it comes to broadcasting your opinions to a public audience, isn't there?
Exactly.
So but once you get into the grasp of things, get into the flow of it, it just comes naturally, and that's what we were going to encourage. Like, not just like, we're out here trying to do our best, but of course, like the listeners out there, we want to encourage you to, broadcast your opinions and thoughts on a more grounded intellectual basis. Have those discussions with Muslims and non-Muslims, encourage them to think more deeply and have constructive conversations. Because nowadays we're in this culture where, what is it, like the internet, like as soon as you say something, people get triggered.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Something about, bro, we're like one homogeneous, as much as people want to say we're so divided, something like the internet, right? It's just something happens, everyone just has the same reaction to every reaction. And you can see it through like the media and stuff, and then I guess that's why the Muslims are kind of isolated, because the whole world reacts in one way, and they're pushed to react another way. And I guess we need to kind of bridge that gap between those reactions and how we react, and to see the kind of double-sidedness to it.
You know what I read recently? There's a few people in Norway that are trialing this idea of posting articles but having a quiz posted there. Before you can post your comments on an article or a blog, you have to complete a quiz, and you have to score a mark. So if you score below, then you're not gonna, because that prevents you. That gives you like a few moments to mellow down. Don't get emotional based on the information you just taken in. Reflect and then respond accordingly based on what's there.
I thought it just filters out the ignorant people.
So they don't have to comment. But you know how it is. Like, there's people that get triggered for clickbait titles and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. So it's just a means of returning back to constructive conversation.
We just react on emotion, I guess. That clickbait stuff, right? I just go on YouTube and see this thing like, OMG, I'm not gonna name YouTubers, right? But I was like a few nights ago, I don't know, I was just on YouTube, and then there was this thing. It's like, oh my god, I almost became an ex-Muslim. It's like, what? It's really confusing because he's not like an ex-Muslim, right? He's a Muslim, but he's using those titles and he just garners some sort of reaction. But in that moment, I'm like, I need to check this out, right? But then, if you actually took a quiz, you'd be like, whatever, like,
it doesn't affect you.
Yeah, it doesn't affect me. Why do I care so much, right? Who knows? It's weird how the world works, and you're right. Like that idea that we're just triggered by our kind of raw emotions in that moment, and I guess, alhamdulillah, if you think about it, right, some people, they're dictated by their emotions for their whole life. They just go by their whims and desires.
The traditions and the cultures as well, they dictate it. And then whenever there's a kind of a conflict between what the Sharia demands of us and when the traditions come in, obviously people are going to be like trying to navigate through that in order to get the benefit for the most benefit out of it, as opposed to adhering to the knowledge. Because you've seen like throughout history, like Islam does allow for culture to exist and traditions to be followed, because everything is halal unless it's been specified through the Ahkam Sharia as being haram. So, but nowadays we're seeing this kind of phenomena of increasing cultural Muslims now. People are just like people are just like trying to fit in. They want to enjoy the glitz and glamour of what Islam brings to them. Like you see, like
it's just
someone like Eid. Like Eid, how people go hard.
Yeah. So that's me, bro. I'm like,
that's how you gonna admit this?
I'm sculling the mango lassi, bro. That's at Hut Bazaar or something. That's me, bro.
But what's your plans, man, for the summer? Are you just gonna be focusing on cricket?
So I got work stuff. Trying to like focus on as well.
Mazen Fool inspired you to the hustle, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. You know? Alhamdulillah, like even that episode, man, it just made like I was talking to a friend the other day.
What's up?
He was talking about sometimes we read like if you delve into Islamic knowledge or if you try to like I read books here and there, you only have like you take what's on face value, but if you actually interact and go out there, that's a different type of learning. So there's two types of learning, right?
Sure.
Going out there into the society, actually doing it, or just reading books, right? And through the act of doing and talking and discussion, Allah, I think, sparks something in your brain to think something you didn't think of, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like some sort of thing that it didn't click, but then, you know, you're talking to people, you're out there, and it just gives you this thing like, oh, wow, I see this thing in a different way, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like with the Mazen app, a lot of stuff, it was like that, you know, how to, you know, go about your business and stuff like that. And, you know, the approach they should take and even the marketing strategy.
Yeah.
I bet we probably didn't think this, like, sitting down and be like, oh, yeah, this is how you approach it. But during the episode, whilst we're discussing, we came up with these ideas on that in the moment.
Yeah.
So I think that's like that's why we're on the hawk, bro. Because
Alhamdulillah.
when we talk about Islam like this, you know, it's... things happen, you know.
That's it. Like, yeah, so certain connections are made that, you know, from, you know, certain knowledges that you wouldn't even think about, like, making the connection with. Yeah. That's important, that we need to constantly be part of an environment, like a halaqat or a structured learning environment. Yeah, you can't just be like, you know, one of those that goes on Reddit and just like fights bigots on the deen. You know who you are. You know who you are.
But yeah, exactly, because I guess that's why, you know, there's, you know, Allah could have just created one person or something, you know what I mean? Unless there's other people around there to interact and discuss, your ideas don't get challenged, right? Or you don't think about things a different way. So
it's interesting because we grew up, I mean, ourselves coming from an ethnic culture, ethnic upbringing, we have this, what's it called? I don't know, it's like an irrational fear of failure. Like, we don't want to fail. We don't want to put ourselves in a position to fail. And I think it comes down just from the fact that, you know, our parents, alhamdulillah, they did a great job in raising us, but they kind of sheltered us.
Yeah.
Based on their kind of upbringing, how they grew up in a sheltered community, which already provided them with everything. As what we alluded in episode 0, that the community kind of just serves to provide everything for the individual growing up. But nowadays we have all this like offerings, all these like opportunities for us. But you know what the irony is, though? People that are holding us back in, you know, sheltering us, you know, saying like, you know, don't go, take your time with the deen, like just do the very, very, very basics. They may be doing more harm than good. That's the irony. Their intentions is, you know, to protect us, but they may be doing more harm than good because that, you know, that hardship is what helps us grow as Muslims.
Not only that, like, what if, you know, you just do the 5 prayers and stuff, which is obviously not belittling any, like, that's a compulsory, right?
Absolutely.
But if you're not going to go out there and seek, like, even very fundamental kind of knowledge, what if you come across ideas, like, you know, if you delve into something and some atheist comes up to you and starts challenging you,
like,
you have no idea, bro, you might leave the deen straight away, like, if you don't have that iman, right? Iman builds through knowledge. So it's crazy how you just asked me what are you doing in the holidays? We just went into some deep discussion.
It's like the coffee metaphor we did, you know, like we just do these things, like we talk about basic stuff and then we just delve into like DNMs. It's crazy,
so I think I was talking about my stuff I was hustling. Yeah, so on top of that, playing sport. I'm trying to keep fit. I realized all the exam stuff, I started eating too much. And so what happened is like I'm pretty unfit. And every time, so we did this challenge. It's really funny. A few of my boys in training, I trained yesterday and the day before. Trained for a while, it was like 4 or 5 hours or something.
Right.
And every time, if we bowled a wide, like down the left, so I play cricket if I didn't specify.
Bro.
If I bowled a down leg side, which is a wide, which is not a good thing, and a wide, or just a wide in general, then we'd have to run a lap.
Oh, yo, how?
So it was like pretty strict.
Well, what was it, like 200 meters?
Nah, so it would be like
just 50.
It would be like it would be like 300.
Oh, yo, that's insane.
Yeah. So every wide. So what happened was I was just running laps the whole training session.
Oh, man.
So it was good though, because it like you realize, when you're doing something wrong, which you shouldn't be bowling wides, which is a fundamental thing in cricket, right?
Yeah.
You realize like you get punished for it.
Yeah, that's important. You need to have that element of hardship to keep you grounded. To keep
Already going so deep.
Yeah. I've not even got into a guest episode, right?
Yeah. Like you just said that. It reminds me like there's a verse in the Quran. It's like, I'm not sure if it's a verse or if it's a hadith, but it's like, Allah is merciful because He doesn't punish you in the moment, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because He gives time for you to repent. And
that's
whatnot.
right. Yeah.
So, I don't know how that went from there to Just pause it. Yeah, so it reminds me of a verse in the Quran. It says, or it's in the hadith, I'm not too sure, but it's like Allah is so merciful that He doesn't punish you in the moment. So yeah, I don't know how that went from there to that, but
we always go in these tangents, man.
But yeah, like, so for me, it's just kind of cricket and trying to spend time with the family and whatnot. And yeah, hopefully, uni doesn't become too taxing when it starts. But yeah, what about you from your end? What's happening?
Yeah. Pretty excited. Gonna be studying Arabic, inshallah, like properly, like with the brothers at Green Square Center. Like, I'm glad they've started their first intensive program. So inshallah, that is
Green Square. So you're gonna from here to.
For
the deen.
For the
seeking knowledge, alhamdulillah. Tracking it.
It looks like a very promising program. So check it out. Like, there's gonna be more offerings in the future, inshallah. Green Square Center. They have a Islamic college that they're opened recently.
Is this run by Mukhlis?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay, nice. Brother
Ahmed is gonna be teaching as well.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, they're doing good stuff there because they opened up pretty recently as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's really exciting. And interesting as well. I want to get fit as well. Yeah. So
okay,
I'm gonna
nice.
it's hard because you gotta maintain it. That's the thing. Like, once you like falter in like a few weeks or something, then it's just hard to like reset again.
Yeah, exactly.
You gain weight a bit. You lose your agility, your speed. But yeah, I went on a hike a few days ago on the Blue Mountains.
Okay.
Yo, that was a really surreal experience because, alhamdulillah, in Australia there's a lot of different climates. Like, there's rainforest, there's dry bushy shrubs, and there's the desert. Alhamdulillah, we got to experience like a little bit of everything in that walk. So the specific walk was the Mount Solitary walk from the scenic railway. So it's in the Blue Mountains near Katoomba, and it's about 17 kilometers, the walk in itself. So it was crazy. Like, there was a lot of up and down hills. But when we got to the top of Mount Solitary, we were just like basking in the views. You're just like, wow, we can see like the edge of civilization or something. And then the other side, we can see all like the Blue Mountain ranges in the national park. But just those kinds of lifestyle choices, like being outdoors and like witnessing the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just appreciating the nature out there, just going away from the hustle and the bustle of city life and suburban life, just being out there in your own element and just reflecting deeply and just experiencing nature. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and you realize like with those sort of things where fitness is really important, that our bodies are made to do stuff like that, like to move and do activities and stuff. Because if we, it goes back to what we were saying before, like seeking knowledge and just sitting down. It's not gonna, like, alhamdulillah, it's not believing anything action you're doing. Obviously, you need to seek knowledge through that way. It's beneficial, but at the same time, you got to balance it out with going out there and doing that kind of stuff, keeping your body fit, interacting with people, because it's just a part of our kind of human psyche, right? That's how the brain operates. That's how movements happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, otherwise, what the alternative is just you cooped up in an office.
Exactly.
and there's been studies that have linked a lack of exercise and sitting down with heart disease and obesity and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So good talk, bro. So shall we get straight into our episode?
Yeah, for sure.
Do that.
If you're listening to this episode, straight as it's been released, you probably have to wait a few hours to listen to our actual episode with Ustadh Muhammad al-Bizry. And if you're listening to this, 12 hours or 24 hours after its actual release, then you can head on straight into our next episode. This is a special day. We've actually released 2 episodes on the same day. So I hope you guys will enjoy it, inshallah.
I'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا هؤلاء قومنا اتخذوا من دونه آلهة لولا يأتون عليهم بسلطان بين فمن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا